Yeah, this is going to be a fast time. This is going to be fast talking about time. Yeah, time. No idea what it does. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Tap and Yap, a CEDH podcast where two Aussies tap lands and yap nonsense. But most importantly, we talk about winning. I'm Jack.
And I'm Riley, and today we'll be jumping into the third archetype of CDH, which is Stax. Locking out the table and accruing value while limiting each other opponent's resources until you can, outvalue the table by either limiting to them to one spell per turn, like getting rid of creature activations, and and we'll just talk about how Stax, definitely just isn't as popular as it used to be, where full Stax decks like Jetmir, Winota just aren't played much anymore compared to running just light stacks and key pieces as stacks in different types of decks to just slow the deck game down and not just play lockout stacks.
Yeah, I mean, Stacks decks haven't been doing that lockout thing for what feels like 3 years now. They just kind of got really bad. When the original introduction to mid range hell came out, everyone was playing like Kennen and stuff. It was really hard to play these lockout stacks decks because with one Psychonic Rift on an end step, you kind of just won the game because you bounced all their stacks pieces. Unless there was enough stuff on the board to kind of stop them, but that at that point the game's kind of over. But yeah, we've gone from this prison focused strategy, like you said, more locking out your opponents and winning with combat damage, where Winota and Jetmir and stuff like that were really good at doing. And now it's more about focusing on certain pieces, buying enough time so that you can assemble your win combo, forcing to make your opponent's spells cost more so they can't cast those spells, only making them cast one spell each turn, really just restricting them on the ability to play magic, which is, the best part of stacks, I guess. So main goal, shutting off those key engines, restricting resources, and then kind of just having the idea of, cool, when you mulligan, look for that. You're playing against a Rogsai, you're playing against I don't know, you're playing against a Tim Dago and something else. Cool, you want stuff to restrict those early mana rocks, you want to restrict the mana production, you want to try and slow them down as fast as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And so do you just want to start? We'll probably just jump in color by color and talk about kind of the key pieces of stacks. Because as we're talking about, we'll probably talk about maybe Winota and Time, the kind of decks that are kind of played now. Kind of just talk about the key pieces in each color and kind of what you come to expect in these types of decks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's jump right in. We'll do colors first because I think that a majority of these cards that we're going to be talking about today are just colorless artifacts. The first one we have here is Curse Totem. It's a 2 colorless artifact. Activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. This one's really, really good at the moment because a lot of the decks that are seeing play are like a Thrasios or a Kennen, sometimes a Sisay, things like that. So having this in play when you're playing Italian or you're playing Tim Necrom, or there's a third deck that's really popular that plays this. This is really nice. I have in my Tim Necrom list. I think this card's really good.
Yeah, definitely. I think this deck is this card pretty much, yeah, it cooks pretty much every deck except for Rogsai and TNK. I think are kind of the only two decks that this doesn't affect. Uh, yeah, just because they don't care about activate abilities, but the Thrasios list is cool. They can't activate Thrasios. They can't activate their mana dorks. They can't use their mana with enduring vitality, and it just pretty much just locks them out of taking game actions. Because yeah, they'll have guys create, they'll have a bunch of mana, but they still also can't activate Thrasios and draw cards or do anything with the mana.
Moving on to the next card. This card is so problematic at the store. There's a couple of people who play this card, and every time this thing gets played, it's a
Yeah.
physical groan from the table. This is Dampening Spear. It's another 2 mana artifact. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces a generic colorless instead of any other type, and then each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. So, for example, if you tap your Gaia's Cradle for 4, you make a colorless instead. And then every spell you cast adds an extra generic. So if you play a Mox Opal and then a Mox Amber, you have to pay 1 mana for the Mox Amber.
Yeah. This card, it's just especially at our store, it cooks pretty much all the decks. Like, cool, all the guys cradle decks, they don't like it because their guys cradle's turned off. All the storm decks, they can't play through this because uh, like the extra mana per spell like adds up very very quickly, and like cool, your Seething Song makes one extra red mana, like, and then like an Italia, it cooks Italia as well, because like, oh cool, I have to pay 4 extra mana for my 4 free spells. Hell no, like, it just like, yeah, it's just like a one piece. It just like turns off a lot of things. I think the only thing that this doesn't really hit is like Thassa's Oracle Deconsult, because like there's only 2 spells, so they have to pay 1 extra for it. So like 4 mana to win the game, and like I feel like that's just like the major problem with Dampening Spirits. It just like doesn't turn off like the easy 2 card combos that don't need anything else to support it.
Yeah, such a sick card. I mean, just like watching people physically groan at this is really funny. Um, I mean, I only think I've had my Ancient Tomb turned off twice. It has stopped me from winning the game once or twice because I can't go get Gaia's Cradle and I already have like Agatha's Soul Cauldron on the battlefield. So yeah, definitely breaks the game a lot. Next card on our list here is Grafdigger's Cage. This is a 1 mana artifact that says creature cards in your graveyard and library can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from their graveyard or library. I mean, this hoses Sisay, this hoses Underworld Breach. This stops Kennen as well because they can't enter from their library, right? That's how that works.
Yeah, they're not like putting the cards into exile and then putting them into play. They're just revealing the top cards from library and putting them into play. So yeah, this like hoses Kinnan. Uh, Also hoses like the Forsaken Miner Sephiroth lines that like Orzhov plays. Like that happened to me last night playing the Silver Cool Dragon from Strixhaven, and I was like, wait, how do I win the game through this? Like,
We played one night and the Magda player Doug had someone he activate it was someone put a tutor on the stack. I think they put like they were getting Enduring Vitality, I'm pretty sure, and he was like, cool, activate Magda, Grafdigger's Cage. So like there's just no tutor. He wasted like 5 mana to go on tutoring, didn't get the Enduring Vitality, which was really funny. So yeah, this card's really cool. It's really problematic. Next card is Disruptive Flute. This is a 2 mana artifact with flash. As it enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Spells with the chosen name cost 3 more to cast. Activated abilities of the source with the chosen name can't be activated unless they are mana abilities. MH3 printed the 2 cards that I hate the most at the moment. Amphibian Downpour and this. There is no reason for this card to be printed. There's no reason for this card to be 2 mana with flash. And dude, it's 3 mana and I can't cast and I can't activate my dude, this card's crazy. Loved him to death. He plays this in Nezahal. He always has it for my Sisay. He'll play it for fun. Even if I'm not winning the game, he'll flash this thing just to say Sisay. He loves it. He loves to do it. But no, this card's really sick. There's so many things you can do with this. This has hosed you a couple of times with your Daga Rayhan, where Tim Flash didn't
yeah,
and named the Greater Good, which was crazy.
Named Greater Good, and I went, oh, I'm no longer drawing 70 cards. This sucks. Like,
yeah, so like this card's really sick. If like anything, we'll go into it a little bit more later on about like certain stacks pieces for certain decks that fit certain things. This is one of these cards where if you're playing a mid-range control deck, definitely considering this card. This card's really, really good.
yeah, and it's like it can name a Kinnan, it can name Thrasios, it can name Sisay, it can name Nagda. Like a lot of the problematic commanders in the format is like, yeah, name this, and then they have to dig for artifact removal, or they sit there and cry.
Yeah, I mean, also something that I think is really important with this card too is that you can name LED. So if they do go off with Underworld Breach, the LED nets nothing. You don't make any mana from it. So like that's really sick. Unless you like have a Lotus Petal available, then you can kind of like scratch the LED and do Lotus Petal. But again, Lotus Petal's a little bit more fragile than the LED. But still like a really sick card.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on to our next card, kind of the same thing. This is Pithing Needle. This is a 1 mana artifact. As Pithing Needle enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Activated abilities of the source with the chosen name can't be activated unless they are a mana ability. Yeah, so this is basically Disruptive Flute, but not as good, I guess. It doesn't have flash, doesn't make the spell cost 3 more to cast. But again, if you're in a very heavy Thrasios meta, very heavy Kennen meta, you put this in for 1 mana, name that card, they basically do nothing for the rest of the game until it gets removed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like definitely not as good as Disruptor Flute, but like in our meta, like it's still probably good to just like be on both of them. There's so many Simic players, there's so many Thrasios players, there's like you want to say there's Magda. It's like cool, if I have 1 extra mana, I'll play it, do this. Or like you can do like the weird stuff and like name Talon Gates and they can't put Talon Gates into play anymore
Ooh,
for like the
yeah.
Thrasios decks.
That's cool.
You can name like Oboro and they can't return the land to their hand to untap the guy's cradle. And like there's just like lots of really good like activated abilities that you can just cook.
No, I agree. I feel
You're facing you're facing an Atali with 10 mana and no clones and they're hellbent and you're like, cool, I'm gonna name Atali so he can't flip that thing and swing it at me. Like
this card's like really cool. Like Pithing Needle used to be like the best, right? And then this flute came in. And I feel like I do agree with you that if you're playing flute, you may as well play Pithing Needle. But I feel like if you need to cut a card because you need an extra slot for whatever reason, I think Pithing Needle's the first thing you cut just because of how good the flute is. I mean,
yeah.
it's crazy. Like to be honest, I don't like flute at all. I mean, flute, a Pithing Needle. I don't know why you would play Pithing Needle over flute, but I understand that playing both is probably a good option. I don't know. It's just how I feel. I feel like flute's like I would play copy enchantment.
Yeah.
Not copy enchantment, copy artifact to clone the disruptor flute before I play Pithing Needle. So, yeah, this is how I feel.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, Disruptor Flute's just like such like actually an insane card. That being 2 mana, having flash, and also like making it cost more to cast as well. It's just like it does so much.
Moving on to the next card. This is like probably the most Staxiest Stax card ever. This is like the oldest Stax card that I can think of. Maybe not the oldest, but Torpor Orb. 2 mana. It's an artifact. Creatures entering the battlefield do not cause abilities to trigger. So basically, 2 mana, no ETBs happen. Turns off all your ETBs, turns off. I mean, this was played significantly way more when Darkside existed because it was 2 mana, no treasures for you, Lamau. Hoses me a little bit. Most of the stuff that I want to be doing is focused around ETBs. Stops Thassa's Oracle from doing its thing. I don't know. It doesn't stop Oboro Breeze Cooler, does it?
No. Cloud of Fairies, yes. Oboro, no.
Okay.
And also like Ewit, it turns off.
Oh,
I don't know.
sure,
This card
yeah.
is like, I feel like it used to be way more played. Now it's like there's not that many ETBs. I mean, I'm an Atali player. If I see this thing, I cry. Like, cool. I'm playing my 7 mana 7/7 that does nothing else because I don't get an ETB. It like also hoses Lumbra, which is kind of funny.
Oh, yeah. It turns the entire deck off pretty much, huh?
Yeah, like they don't get to play the game anymore if you resolve this against Lumbra. I feel like it like might make a comeback slowly, like especially if like CSA gains more popularity because there's like really good ETBs.
Deck bad, dude. Deck bad.
But I don't know. Yeah, it's just like not played that much anymore because I think people just like aren't that scared of ETBs at the moment versus like activated and like triggered abilities.
Shit, you're more likely to see this Torpor Orb in a casual game now that this prepared mechanic has come out, right? Oh, dude.
Oh yeah.
Moving on, Vexing Bauble is our next card. A lot of crazy MH3 cards. I guess none of these see modern play, but they all see CDH play because I guess that's how that works. I'm pretty sure the last Modern Horizons 2 set saw more CDH play than it did modern play, but I guess Nadu was a big problem, but it's no longer in any format, so it doesn't matter.
Yes, it's nothing.
It's in the realm of the locked box for it never to come back out. So Vexing Bauble is a 1 mana artifact that says whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell, and then you can pay 1, tap, sack, Vexing Bauble, draw a card. I think I could talk about Vexing Bauble for about 4 years.
Yeah.
So the first thing, it can be tutored with Urza's Saga, which I saw on the weekend, which was absolutely nuts. It's just like not new tech. I just never saw anyone do it before, so I never cared about it. And then someone, a Timna Rograk, so like a very quick deck, goes, cool, Urza Saga. I'm like, yeah, cool, go get your Sol Ring, bro. That's fine. Didn't notice he already had Sol Ring. puts Vexing Ball onto the battlefield, and I'm like, we're dead. Luckily, he had nothing, nothing to really win the game with, but it was really scary. The Vexing Bauble does two things. The reason it's on a Stax piece, I guess, is it counters all your free spells. So Force of Will, Fierce Guardianship, Mind Break Trap, all those types of spells that you're usually playing because they're free, no longer free, they get countered. But also, really importantly, like your Chrome Mox, your Mox Amber, your Mox Opal, your Rograk, having like a seat one, turn one Vexing Bauble into like turbo decks and being like, I can't cast my Rograk. These Chrome Mox is dead in my hand. This Mox Diamond I can't play. Really, really big.
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel that like this card generally made a comeback in the meta because of Atali. Like
Maybe.
Atali was in so like, but then I think people realize like this card's like just like actually good to be in the deck. Because yeah, if you have it on play like turn one, it's like good to just run out, and then turn two you can crack it. You've slowed everyone down a turn, and like you drew a card on your turn two, so it's like actually like not bad. And then just like the one bad thing about this card is like you never like if it's past turn one, never pass with it without mana floating. Like you never tap out with the Vexing Bauble. I think that's the biggest trap you can do in like turn three, turn four, turn five, and onwards. The amount of times it's like cool, I have interaction, but there's a Vexing Bauble and he can't crack it, and he wins. The other person wins the game because no one can interact with him.
Yeah, I've definitely lost one or two games because someone has played a Vexing Bauble and like tapped out past the turn, and the next person wins, and I have like Force of Will and like a Fierce Guardianship in my hand. So yeah, definitely agree
Yeah.
with you there. The one thing you definitely don't want to do is like tap out with this thing on the battlefield. I've definitely gone, hey, don't just pass the turn and tap out if that's your thing. Like someone had like played a couple of things and like, oh, I have this Bauble, I'll cast it, tap down. I'm like, no, pass, don't do it. It's a bad choice. So yeah, fully for sure. Moving on to, we'll talk about both these cards at the same time because they do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll just talk about one at a
Yeah,
time. We'll
pretty much
just
Stanley.
skim through them. This is Winter Orb and Winter Moon. They are both an artifact for 2 mana. Player can't untap more than one non-basic land during their untap step. And then Winter Orb is basically as long as Winter Orb is untapped, players can't untap more than one land during their untap step. Oh, they're the exact same thing. They just added the fact that you can tap Winter Orb. Okay, great. Yeah, so these two do the same thing. This is
Yeah.
just like slows down your opponents drastically. A lot of the time, Urzes play the Winter Orb. Is that correct? So that you can tap it, untap your
Yeah,
lands
you
or something
can
like that?
tap it. You can tap it in the player previous to use end step, and then on your turn it's tapped, so you can untap all your lands, and it untaps for the next turn cycle.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like asymmetrical. So you can untap everything, but no one else can untap more than one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think these see any play, right? Like, I don't think these see play at all.
The only deck that I've seen him in, and we were laughing about it last week when I brought it up to you, is the Iron Man list, which actually does
Oh, the
play these,
Iron
and
Man.
it's
I forgot that we need to talk
yeah,
about that.
yes, and it's oops surprise Winter Orb on the battlefield. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
very very funny, that deck.
Okay, cool. Let's move back up to. Well, let's move down, I guess. We'll move down to the enchantments because there's only 4 of them. The first one here is Blind Obedience. This is 1 and a white for an enchantment. It has Extort. I'll read that in a minute. Artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. And then whenever you cast a spell, you may pay a black or a white. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Now, Blind Obedience is really
No,
interesting.
you gain that much life,
Oh, you
so you
gain
gain
that
3
much
life if
life.
there's 3
Oh,
of them.
even better,
Yes,
even better. Even better.
yeah,
Fantastic.
yes,
Um,
even better.
yeah, blind obedience is one of those things that just like is funny enough, just a fun stacks piece. Artifacts and creatures entering tapped is pretty problematic for most decks, especially like your turbo decks, like your Rog size is slow, a turn slower. It doesn't really hurt the creature stuff much these days because the only deck that it might impact is Sisay if you really need like something that has haste, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know if the creatures entering tap does anything meaningful. Maybe I'm wrong.
It does like a little bit. So, for example, like a Rogue Thrash with Earthcraft.
Oh, sure.
They come in, they Earthcraft then. Uh, the best I've seen this is when I was playing Shokai for a little bit, and I was versing Tim, who like we both had two Ristic studies, and both had an Nazahal, and both had the Smothering Tithe or something like that. It was something ridiculous, and we had this big stack battle. Went on for like 20 minutes trying to resolve, just counter each other's spells, trying to resolve like a humility or something like that. And he on his turn he had 50 tap treasures. I think you walked over and you saw a big pile of 43 dice that were just on a tap treasure and go, what the hell?
Yeah, that sounds like something YouTube would get up to. But also like I don't know if it's used very often, but blind obedience is also just like a win condition, right? You can generate infinite mana and
Yeah,
then just use the extort
it's
thing.
yeah, it's like one of the best win condition in like Azorius, yeah, white blue with like Hullbreaker Horror and 2 rocks is like you make infinite mana and then when you're casting your rocks, you extort everyone to death. And it's like loss of life, so you can win through one ring, just like with this Hullbreaker Horror and like 2 rocks that go mana positive.
Yeah, that's great. I think that it's again, I don't think this sees very much play. Uh and maybe that's wrong. I don't know. I play
It's like I don't think it sees much play, but it's like really really good in the decks that like it does get played in like Shurikai for example, because like it doesn't. It's your opponents only, and it's also a win con, so it's like it's just like good, right? It slows them down, and it's a win con, so like
Yeah,
that's why
for
it's
sure.
good.
No, that makes sense. Moving on to the dreadful Blood Moon. Blood Moon effects. There's about 3 or 4 of them. I'll throw them up on screen, but the main one that we'll be focusing about here is Blood Moon because it's the most OG. It's the generic one. It's the one that everyone knows. It is 2 and a red for an enchantment. Non-basic lands are mountains. Like I said, there is a wide variety of this. There's the one from MH3 that says all lands are islands. There's the creature that turns all your non-basic lands into mountains as well. This is pretty backbreaking for the format for most decks. Sisay, I do nothing unless I hit Agatha Soul Cauldron or I have
Yeah,
a lot of dorks and rocks on the battlefield. That's pretty much majority the same for all decks. It was only good in Nagila because she's a red commander. But yeah, this card's pretty backbreaking.
yeah. I think it doesn't get played much anymore. Because like there's just like so much fast mana in the format where like by the time you get this Blood Moon, unless like getting it on play turn 1 and then like it actually cooks the table. It's like you had it played turn 1 against you like probably a month ago, and it was like you, T and K, and I think it might have been like Tim and the Magda who played it. And it was like you just like got up and came and looked at my table. You're like, I'm not playing that game. There's a Blood Moon out on turn 1. Like, what's going on over here?
I think Mark played 2 lands that game. They were both mountains, and he had like multicolored spells in his hand. So him and I kind of sat there and watched Tim and the Magda play, which was pretty interesting. I think I cloned something. I think I cloned it as a whole, which was like kind of good. But other than that, yeah, nothing happened that game. So yeah, Blood Moon again, not seeing a lot of play, but it's good in those decks that want to see it. This card in particular might see play if like Jetmir or Noda or something like that come back, just because being able to slow your opponents down as many ways as possible might be necessary. But yeah, 3 mana to slow your opponents down, it's not awful. Moving on to a personal favorite. Recently have been trialing this in Sisay and really enjoy the way that it works in my deck. Deafening Silence. This is a 1 white enchantment that says each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Non-creature spell each turn. So you can cast as many creatures as you want, but only 1 non-creature spell. This is pretty backbreaking for a lot of decks. Slows them down significantly. I have not been impacted by this effect at all. I love this card so much. That's all I gotta say. This card's really good.
Yeah, it's like I don't have much to add. Like this card's really really good in the decks that play it. Like if you can get around with not casting more than 1 non-creature, it's just like really good. Like it's they only have 1 counter spell per turn, or if someone plays something bad, like if they go to bounce it, you can counterspell and they have no interaction because they've cast their 1 non-creature for the turn.
Moving on to a card that I despise. I think this card is awful. It's not good. This card sucks. This is Humidity. This is 2 and a white. Each creature loses all abilities and is a 1/1 creature. Man, this card sucks. This card is like the epitome of just lol, let's go to the next game. If you don't have any removal, You don't like you just draw past until you find like a Passeju or a bounce spell or something like that. Look, it's really like
Yeah,
it's really good in your Shurikai list. It's like the whole thing is that you're
yeah,
playing. You don't play any creatures, so you're like, cool. My 1/1 pilots are still 1/1s. Oh no, I'm
yeah.
drawing cards.
Yeah. Or it's like, yeah, when I go to win the game, I bounce it and I win. Like, yeah, in Shokai, it's like, cool, my commander's like an artifact, so I don't care about this. And like my Shokai list is on like a lot more creatures than like old Polymorph Shokai, which I think's bad personally. But like being on this in like when 60% of our meta's like Simic, it's like good, right? I turn off every single one of their dorks. I turn off all the Cis Ace colors. I turn off Cis A. And you sit there and go, Abrupt Decay, hopefully I'm gonna draw it soon.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, I drew. Yeah. Before I die to the 13 pilots that are attacking me. Moving on to the creatures now. Probably the most disappointing of the whole thing. Reason I say they're disappointing is because creature stacks was the opinion, like it was the king. It was the best stacks. It was all these creature stacks decks were doing really well because there was like no answer, and then they printed the answer, and now there's no more creature stacks decks.
Yeah.
We'll start off. We'll just go in order here. We got Archon of Emiria. This is a 2 and a white for a creature Archon. It has flying. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. Non-basic lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. This card is disgusting. First of all, non-basic lands your opponent's control entering the battlefield tapped. If you kept a handful of like fetch lands, lol, you're like 4 years behind by the time you get to do anything because you play that fetch, it enters tapped, then you're gonna untap and then go search for whatever you're getting, and then if it's not a basic land, it enters tapped. It's like good luck,
Yeah.
have fun with that one. Um, I mean, each player can't cast each spell. Sorry, each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. We already talked about it with Deafening Silence. Very, very good. Like incredibly well. This was played when like Timnatana Blood Pod was really good because it's a flyer 2/3, so you can get in with Timna, which is really great.
Yeah, well, I also have just like recency bias for this card, just like being like really, really good. I played it last night. It's in the Silver Quill, Casualty 1 Dragon. It's like, cool, I play this, slows everyone down. The guy's Cradle deck can't do anything because they can't cast more than one spell and they non-basics enter tap, so they can't even like Talon Gates Guy's Cradle. And just like the TNK player, they sit there, draw pass for turns. Like the Magda, it's like kind of annoying, but we just like, I had enough removal where each player cast one thing removal, we kept killing the Magda. And then I'm like, cool, here's like a Spreed Lively Dirge that I copy and I sacrifice the Stax piece and win. Or here's a Pier and a dark here's a Pier, I sack this at advantage. I have 2 Pier of the Abyss. Like I'm gonna draw 75 cards and like be able to cast more than one spell a turn.
Moving on to another good card. This card, again, you'll hear us probably say this a lot. Doesn't see a lot of play, but it is really good in those decks that want to play it. Is Aven Interrupter. It's a colorless, a white for a creature bird rogue with flash because of course it has flash. Flying. Whenever Aven Interrupter enters the battlefield, exile target spell. It becomes plotted. I'll read plotted in a second. And then it says spells your opponent casts from graveyard or from exile cost 2 more to cast. And plot is the owner may cast it as a sorcery speed on a later turn without paying its mana cost. This card is seen in a lot of Esper control decks. 3 mana to basically put an Underworld Breach, Thassa's Oracle, Rhystic Study, any type of spell. Plot, so you don't get the spell. Basically, it's any spell on the stack, you just plot it. They can't have it, which is pretty great. And then spells your opponent's cast from graveyard or from exile cost 2 more to cast is not nothing. Makes your like Underworld Breach stuff a lot harder. For some reason, draw it later. You can flash it in just as a everything costs 2 more to cast now, pretty much, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. I think just like the other thing this is really good at is maybe with like the Rise of Hexing Squelcher, the can't be counted things. It just doesn't counter. It just takes it off the stack. It exiles it. So, like for example, for us, Nezahal can't be counted. You can do this on the Nezahal. You can do it on a Hullbreaker Horror, which can't be counted, and you exile it. Or the Finale of Devastation that can't be counted because they tap Misrise Village or they have a Hexing Sculpture out. Or cool, I exile it, and it's a creature, so it's like weirdly hard to interact with.
Yeah, no, the Hexing Squelcher makes a lot of sense. maybe this card sees way more play moving forward. If they keep printing these like red can't be countered spells that they love doing at the moment, it's the third or fourth one in a row. Not in a row, like they haven't done them in every single set, but they
Yeah.
have been printing them like a lot more recently, and it's really funny because like we've talked in the past, they don't care about CDH when they print cards. So it's like, why? Who the is playing this in casual? You
Yeah.
telling me someone's like hexing Squelcher? Like what? Anyway, they're playing it for the ward. Another card with flash is Aven Mind Sensor. This one is the absolute tilter of like, I remember watching like old play to win videos and watching like people flash this thing and you're like, cool, look at the top, whatever it is. But yeah, it's a 2 and a white for a creature bird wizard with flash, has flying. If an opponent would search a library. Wait, it says a library. Interesting. I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
That player searches the top 4 cards of that library instead. Dude, that's cool. If you like Praetor's Grasp, you can flash this thing in. They only get to look at the top 4. I always thought this was their library. This is cool.
Yeah, like it's also like it hits you as well. So like I don't know, like it gets seen in SP control because they're just gonna draw a bunch of cards instead of like tutoring a lot. But it's like cool. It's the bad oppo. Let's be real. It's the white opposition agent. It does a very similar thing. But like I resolve this against you, and you sit there and go, uh,
Hope
Beseju, Odawara, Raptor, can I please draw one?
I gotta hope that I can find a 3 or 2 mana legendary off the top 4 cards. Oh yeah, all my lands just all get turned off too, which is pretty gross. Speaking of pretty gross, Collector Oof is the next card. This card is 1 and a green for a creature Oof, which I didn't even really pay attention to if that's an actual creature type or it's just this one card that has that. That's interesting. Activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated. This card is pretty useless. Not useless. I'll get to that in a second. But most importantly, this saw a lot of play when Dockside Extortionist was around, just because it hits Dockside Extortionist pretty heavily. I just feel like there are way more better cards that do the same thing as Collector Oof that are now one-sided. So like you can use your artifacts, but they can't use theirs. It's also like just like an instant target for removal, right? Even if they aren't winning with artifact-based combos, they just want their artifacts so this thing gets removed before you kind of slow the table down anyway. Heavily hurts Kennen, but yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about this card. I think it's interesting. I don't think it's very good anymore. It used to be a powerhouse back in the day, but not that great now.
I actually have like a little bit of a different opinion. I think this card should make a comeback.
Yeah?
I think there are so many good artifacts in the format, and if you're playing like a creatures matters, like for example, I know one deck that does play this. It's not very popular, but Rocco, the 2-1. It doesn't play out. It doesn't give a fuck about artifacts. But like, cool. I'm gonna turn off the Candelabra. I'm gonna turn off the Relic Legends. I'm gonna turn off the Soul Ring. I'm gonna turn off the Mana Vault. I'm gonna turn off the Basalt Monolith. I
Maybe
think
you're
it's like
right.
kind of good, especially in like these like green creature matters. And it's like cool. I'm just gonna like Green Sun's Zenith X equals 2. And I'm gonna put an oof out and like good luck in it. Like
Yeah, I guess
I
you're
think
right. No, I guess you're right.
there's like maybe a spot that like it could see a comeback in like certain decks. Like I don't know, I saw it in the top 10 game from Time and I'm like, maybe this card's like good, right?
Oh man, maybe you're right. Haven't seen it since. I personally haven't seen it since Dockside Extortionist, and the one time it was played, it got blown up instantly. Even though like it wasn't a very heavy artifact deck. People just want those artifacts that they're using. So maybe that's why it's good, right? It's good because it just turns everything off and you need to waste removal on it, which is probably better than wasting removal on your other pieces, I guess. Maybe it's good.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll see a comeback. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Drana and Linvala. This is a generic, a white, and a black for a legendary creature, Vampire Angel. Has flying and vigilance. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. And then Drana and Linvala has all activated abilities of creatures your opponents control. You may spend mana as though it was any mana to activate these abilities. I put this in Sisay for about all of 4 seconds, and then the entire Sisay Discord about strangled me through my phone as I went, I wonder how this card plays out. It got cloned, and then it came out of the deck the next game. Look, I think if you're not playing an activated ability deck and you want that type, and you're playing a very heavy Thrasios or a Kennen or a Sisay, or you're playing this like very heavy mid-range activated ability-esque decks, this card's great. If not, meh, it's like whatever. I think like being able
Yeah,
to turn off activated abilities and then gain those activated abilities, huge.
yeah. It's I've recently re-added it. It's been in like the kind of sideboard for the Jin deck, the Esper kind of draw cards deck, and just like I think it's just like good. It's a flyer, so I can it's just like 6 damage a turn, which is like not nothing because it gets double strike from Jin. But like yeah, I literally have 0 activated abilities of creatures in that deck, so like cool, someone can clone it and it locks out the table and does not affect me at all. So yeah, it's like card's good. It cooks Sisay, which I'm all about.
Moving on to another card that I am very 50-50 on is Drannith Magistrate. This is a 1 and a white for a creature human wizard. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hand. It's a 1/3, which I don't know if I've said the power and toughness for any other creature, but there you go. Um, First of all, I mean, fairly obvious. Hits your commanders, so you can't cast them from the command zone because it's not from your hand. Pretty simple. But also turns off any type of Underworld Breach or any type of that effect where you cast from exile. Any deck that cares about casting from exile, just basically it gets turned off as well. I'm very 50-50 on this card because we play so cheap commanders. It feels bad if you're in like seat 4 and you cast this while everyone else has the commanders, if that makes sense. Or like your seat 3, you play this and then you're like everyone else in front of you has the commander. I don't really know. I don't have many thoughts about this card. I think it's still good. I think it's very playable. You got to be careful when you play it because sometimes you like stop one opponent, which then slows them down. So then you're having to like 3v1 or like 2v1 or like whatever sometimes.
Yeah, it's like very timing basis. Like sometimes it feels bad. Like you see it in your hand, you're like, cool, I can drop this turn 2, and it like cooks everyone. And then you drop a turn 2, and then it gets cloned, and you're like, oh, I now also don't have a commander. Sometimes not letting people cast their commander is really good, especially with these like a lot of decks being so commander like reliant, right? Cannon need Cannon for all the mana.
Yeah, Thrasios
Today
needs
is
Thrasios for it.
your entire deck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I have
it's like
considered
blocking people out of their commanders is like got to be good, right?
putting in some type of win condition that I can win without Sisay because the amount of times that I don't have Sisay and I'm like, I need a way to like have an alternative win to a certain degree. So that would be something I'll be looking at, but don't tell anyone. It's not like we do a podcast or anything. Um, Aethersworn Canonist is our next card. It's 1 and a white for an artifact creature human cleric.
Each player who casts a non-artifact spell this turn can't cast additional non-artifact spell on non-creature.
You played this yesterday, and it stopped me from being able to protect my Smothering Tithe, which I hated.
Like multiple times in the same turn. Oh no, it was like you couldn't protect the Smothering Tithe, and then the next turn you couldn't protect the Sisay. And I was like, yippee, this card's good.
Yeah, we want to cast more than one spell each turn. So whenever these effects are on the battlefield, it very much hurts us a lot, inside and out. I like this card. I think it's really good. Any spell that does this type of effect, I'm definitely down for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like very similar to like the Archon of Emeria. It like hits pretty much every day. Like no one plays Artifact Storm. Like,
Yeah, I couldn't tell you one deck. Maybe
like,
maybe the new Iron Man deck does, but
I don't think so, but sure.
no. Yeah, we gotta find an excuse here. The next card is Lavinia, Orzhov's Renegade. This is a white and a blue for a legendary creature human soldier. Each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with mana value greater than the number of lands that player controls. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. I'm very mixed on this card. I don't play it in Sisay. I think about putting it into Sisay all the time. It's a white and a blue, so it is a 2-mana legendary creature for Sisay. Each player being able to not cast spells that are like usually 3 CMC or higher for most things, turning any 2-mana spell for some rogue side decks they can't cast, right? It's kind of funny. It is one of those cards that it's kind of the Vexing Bauble text, kind of. It will lose you the game if you aren't careful, because someone who tries to win might clone it, and then you can't force a wheel something, and then you lose the game. So you got to kind of like make sure that you have a swan song or a counter spell or something that you can actually pay for, so that you don't lose the game.
Yeah, 100%. I think the worst situation with this is the vexing bauble thing, and also like it gets cloned, like, and then like the person who plays it also can't play the game now, and it's just like a miserable game.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of thoughts for this card. I see some Cisalis playing it. I definitely should reach out to them and be like, hey, why are you playing this card? Do you see actually any benefit from it? That type of stuff. Because I
It's
have
like
no
I
interest.
see it in like Sisay as like it's like a 2 mana Teferi kind of. It's like nearly a silence because a lot of counter spells are like 4 CMC above. Mindbreak Trap, Force of Will. It's like nearly a silence,
More
and
and
like maybe
more.
they use it as like a cheap silence when they go for the win. Like if they need a 2-drop to start like the tutor chain.
Maybe I give it a go. Moving on to a card that I think needs a MH3 revamp. It is Notion Thief. This is 2 and a Demir, a blue and a black for a creature human rogue with flash. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead, that player skips their draw step, you draw a card.
This card, best case scenario, there's 2 Ristic Studies on the board, and like you just oh well, that's a May trigger, or like you steal all the Esper Sentinel draws, or you cast a
You,
wheel and you draw
yeah.
40 cards and they don't draw any cards.
This is the
It's like
current
nearly good.
Yeah, this is the current answer to the Oops or Ristic Study decks that are around, right? You flash this thing in, you draw all their cards. It's supposed to be good. The reason it's not good is because Orcus Bowmaster exists. We'll get to that card in a later on. But if this thing was a 1/3 or was, like I said, reprinted into a like more MH3.
Yeah, or like 2 mana, or like 4 mana is like still quite a bit for something that dies so easily. I think that's the problem. Also, like 4 mana is a very big
Oh,
investment in
dude, 4
this.
mana is a huge investment for a
Yeah,
3/1,
4 mana
right?
is crazy.
If it
Yeah,
was a 3 mana 1/3, this card is played in every blue black deck in history. But the problem
yeah,
is that like a 2 mana 1/1 kills this thing at instant speed, right? Like it's really rough.
yeah.
Um, and then same kind of issue gets cloned. Cloning is a big issue as it always has been since Dockside. It's like this thing gets cloned, and then I'm pretty sure it works is that they start drawing the cards because it's a timing thing.
Oh, it's such a weird thing. It like depends on whose turn it is and depends on who cloned it. Because I think it act player order of who draws the cards or something. It's some strange interaction. I don't think it's a timing one. It's like a player priority one, or it's just don't clone it.
Yeah, or just even better, don't play it. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Don't play it.
Yeah.
Just don't play it.
Yeah. Card that you shouldn't play because it sucks is Opposition Agent. This card's horrible. We're moving on. Thanks for watching. No, this is a 2 and a black for a creature human rogue with flash. You control your opponents while they search their libraries. While opponent is searching their library, you exile each card they find. You may play those cards as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it was any color to cast them. If it wasn't obvious enough, this hits Sisay because I'm searching my library. You also control them, so you get to see their hand. This is half the reason why I play the interaction package that I do. I basically play enough stuff that I can remove it 3 days left of Sunday.
Yeah, this thing eats Dismember for breakfast every time you have it in your hand.
Man, Abrupt Decay. The half the reason I have Abrupt Decay in the deck is because I want to send this thing into the atmosphere. The only downside is when
this
they have
card's
Deflecting
really
Swat.
yeah. This card's really, really good. I played it last night and stole someone's flash photography, and then I casualtied flash photography, and then I had 2 Ristic Studies. Like,
Dude,
really cool to have 2 Ristic Studies in Orzhov.
it's actually disgusting. Really awesome,
Yeah,
but really disgusting.
this card's really good. I think if you're in black, you should run this card unless you're like a pure turbo like Rogue Stylist. If you're like any amount of in range and have black, there's just like so many tutors, and it like just turns off fetch lands. Weirdly, like you just draw a fetch land on turn 4 when Oppo's still out, and you're like, cool, this land does nothing. Sucks.
Shit. A long time ago when I was on Thrasios Timna, I opposition agent someone who had cloned a gamble. So I got two cards and they had to discard two cards, which was like really fun. Um
Oh yeah.
yeah, opposition agenting someone with gamble is good because they still have to discard the card, which is great. But yeah,
That's
I
great.
I think this card is very underplayed. I find it interesting that people struggle to find a slot for this card, seeing as we play basically every tutor known to mankind. So yeah, I don't really have a lot of thoughts about this card outside of me being a deck that like I'm playing Sisay. I don't want to see this card ever. I have only been ever oppoed by two people. One of them was you last night. I casted Demonic Tutor and you were like Oppo, and you were like the one thing that I
Yeah.
didn't, the one card you wanted to go get was Oppo, and the one card you wanted was Demonic Tutor, and I just happened to have it. So
But like, I still just like got a Ristic study, and
yeah,
like
it
I
was good.
wasn't like I was still happy with just getting a Ristic study. Like,
Hmm. Next card on our list is probably the most bannable card ever. Maybe I don't know. It's Orcish Bowmaster. It's
I
one
don't
to
think it's
black.
banned. I don't
Bannable.
think it should be banned.
Fair enough.
No, it shouldn't
It
be banned.
is a creature orc archer with flash. Whenever Orcish Bowmaster enters the battlefield and whenever an opponent draws a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, Orcish Bowmaster deals 1 damage to any target, then amass Orcs 1. This is probably another card that I could talk about for the next 5 years. Straight down to the fact that it is the only Orc archer. It's the only archer that doesn't have reach. First thing, flavor text miss, I think. No, but realistically, this card it's a toolbox, man. You can use it to win the game. You can use it to control the board. You can use it to kill your opponents. You want to, so it's so good. I mean, it's also very clonable, as we figured out last night when there was 6 of them on the battlefield between the 4 of us. That was very awful. Also, something to notice is that it is whenever it enters, you deal a damage and make an orc army. It can be flickered with like an Emil when you make infinite mana. It can also be 2 bodies if you want to use a diabolic intent. This card is like 2 mana, do 50,000 things. This card's really cool.
Yeah, it's like probably one of the best cards in the format, especially like Ristic study clones. You resolve this thing. It's killing the entire Thrasios board. It's killing the entire Kinnan board, and they're sitting there and crying and hoping they draw a clone to kill it.
Yeah, it's also just a win
Yeah,
condition if you have like Orcish Bowmaster, Underworld Breach, Wheel of Fortune, and like LED or some way to make mana to cost the Wheel of
yeah,
Fortune. So yeah,
yeah.
again, this
It's like card's so good. I love this card, especially because whenever I play it, I cook the Sisay board, and you sit there and go, "Why are you cooking my entire board?" I go, "Shut up, Jack, and take it." Like,
yeah, they did that. They did that last night too. I went watched half my board get blown up. And then we bullied Tim for an hour talking about how all 3 of us were going to attack him with our orc armies. He was not impressed about that at all.
Solar Jar is just the same as Graphics Cage.
Sparta Woman, Stunning Savior, is 1 in Orzhov. It's a legendary creature, Sparta human hero, has flying, artifacts, and creatures your opponents control enter tapped. This is really good in Sisay because it slows down my opponents enough that I can kind of start accumulating value. It's a flyer, so it works with the Derevi. It's an Orzhov commander, so an Orzhov legendary, so it gives Sisay 2 power. It's 2 mana, so I can play the generic and a blue if I need to, or 1 and a white, which is really good because white's the most needed color in that deck, but just behind green. So yeah, really cool card. Tim hates it because most of the time I play it just before he goes, and then his mana vault into tapped, and when he has mana vault in his hand because he lets out a very big sigh.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I have like I think this card's really really good, but it's only been played against me once, and I was playing Rograk, and I cast 6 artifacts on my turn 1, and you were like turn 2 Spider Woman, and I think you were seat 3, and it just like cooked him.
Yeah, he was seat 4.
I
You were
was like,
seat.
yeah, I was seat 2, I think, and yeah, I just like dropped my entire hand of artifacts, and you're like, oh damn. Anyway, Spider Woman.
Yeah, Spider Woman. I think he was ready to strangle me after that game, to be honest. All right, we're gonna quickly talk about a couple of decks. As we've kind of discussed, these decks struggle to, they struggle to perform. But decks that are doing pretty well at the moment is Winoda. This was recently a pretty good result. 3-1-1 came second, just behind Comedian MTG. So the deck did pretty good, to be honest, in my opinion. As you can already see, it's playing 50 creatures. Winnow is probably the most possible Stax. I use Stax with quotation marks because it's like playing a wide variety of different things, but it would probably be the most and the fastest commander to see a comeback. As you can kind of see on screen, it's playing every Stax piece that we kind of talked about. Has Archon of Emirius, Aven Interrupter, Arven Mind Sensor. It's playing the Thalia, which non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. It's playing that Dragon, flying, activated abilities of artifacts, creatures, and planewalkers can't be activated, which is really good because Winota doesn't do any of that, as you can see on board. It's playing Magnus of the Moon, which is the other Blood Moon effect. It's again, these are all. This deck is playing 50 creatures. Its goal is to attack and flip into Stax pieces, slow the opponents down, and win with combat damage. So, it's pretty cool. I think it's basically playing, Deafening Silence, Blood Moon, High Noon, which is another Stax piece, but kind of does the same thing as every other. You can only cast one spell each turn. So yeah. Very cool Stax deck. I actually really like this Winota list. It's really cool.
Plays a lot of cool creatures, and like, it's a good enough start. There's like not really much you can do about it unless you like draw Toxic Deluge, like, and think it just like gets to a point, and it's like it has like an amazing start. So it's like land Soul Ring, or like land Chromox, Soul Ring, Simian Spirit Guide, put Winota out, and like another human to attack, and then it puts a non-human out, and then just like goes from there, and just like kind of unstoppable.
Yeah, this deck is.
I mean, it plays Rionia, and I love that card. So.
Oh yeah, really good. I think this deck's
there for like infinite combat.
Yeah, it's Rionia and what? It's one of them, right? It's Rionia and
Combat
what?
Celebrant.
Combat Celebrant. That's
Combat
right.
Celebrant.
Hell yeah, there it is. But yeah, the deck's really good at going like Stax piece, stack piece, Winota, Stax piece, like win, just because like you're beating up everyone. Fear of Missing Out is also a combo piece with Kiki Jiki, which I don't see, but it probably makes sense because they're playing a lot of like can't activate ability type effects, so you don't want that in this deck, I guess.
It works with Rionia as well. If you
Rionia? Oh, okay. Fair. I only knew about the Kiki Jiki one, but that makes sense. It probably does the same thing, right? Untap, attack, trigger Rionia, whatever. Yeah, that makes sense.
Triggers Rionia, makes a new Fear of Missing Out. It attacks. Extra combat makes a new Fear of Missing Out. Attacks. Makes a new Fear of Missing Out. So on.
Yeah, this deck is pretty sick. If I was to put another like casual CDH deck to come play at the shop, I'd probably put this together and then like just turn things sideways. Best way to learn CDH is just to attack, I guess. But yeah, no, sick list.
I feel like just like the deck does it seem really good. Without OBM in the meta and like Cycrift, this deck would be really, really good. But with OBM, it kind of gets cooked because it's like there's an OBM out, there's probably a Risk 630 out. Someone just plays a bunch of spells and kills the entire Winota board, and they sit there and scoop it sorcery speed. Like,
yeah, fair. Moving on to another list, Time Luminous Engine, a deck that I very much have no idea how it works. I kind of get an idea of how it works, but we have someone in the somewhat local CEDH community that plays it very well. I'm yet to play against them, but from what I've heard, I've only heard horror stories of them getting like them absolutely destroying the table. So, yeah.
Katie, like super talented pilot. First time I ever versed him was in a top 16 when I was playing Adali, and she was like, turn 1, Aether Storm Canonist, turn 2, Dranith, and I was sitting there with a turn 2 Treason Soaker in my hand. I went, Anyway, like, I might go get food, guys. See you later. Like,
for those that don't know what Time does, you can read it. But basically, you remove counters, mill some cards, put stuff back into play. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, and it plays like a lot of random cards that enter with counters. Like a super funny one. I don't actually know the name. It's in the middle next to Esper Sentinel. And it enters with like 3 cash counters.
Oh, here we go.
Or something.
Oh, cool. It's a card from 1,000 years ago. Hang on.
Yeah. So yeah, Iceation Money Changer. It's 1 white, and it's this creature enters with 3 credit counters on it. And it's like when it enters, it deals 3 damage. But it enters with 3 counters, which is what Time needs to mill 3 cards and then reanimate something. So I was like, it reanimates this, and then it mills 3 more cards and does it again. This card's dumb.
Can you
But Time plays Yeah, Time plays a lot of these types of cards that like have random counters on them.
You can like if you make infinite mana, you can remove the counters from this guy, sack it in response to the time activation, and put it back on the battlefield, and then have infinite mill.
I think so. Yeah.
That sounds cool. That's a really cool card. The one that I know that everyone fears is Wall of Roots because of the whole like weird interaction where you put the fourth counter on it and then you remove the counters with time and then it doesn't like die or something like that, which I think is an interesting interaction.
Yeah. I think like the other cool one, it plays Devoted Druid,
Mm-hmm.
but it also plays the land that you can sacrifice if you scroll down to the lands. So it's Threshold, you sacrifice Dental Garden, and its target creature gets +3/+3. And with Devoted Druid, you can use the -1/-1 counters infinitely because it's big enough where it doesn't die by adding the 3 -1/-1 counters.
Oh
And then you remove
damn!
them, and it goes back up to the +3, and then you add them on, make 3 mana. Yeah. So like this land, Devoted Druid and Tiom is infinite mill.
Damn, this deck's sick.
Yeah,
Dude,
the
this
deck
deck's
is like it doesn't sing. I don't know really how it works, but it's so good.
maybe I'm very lucky that I haven't had the opportunity to get destroyed by this deck because I just feel like I would just have no idea where the pinch points are with this deck. I know they recently got this card, the new one, where if you tap it, you blight one and then surveil one. So you put like a counter, you put like minus counters on a creature, and then you surveil one. Or you can like blight two to exile a target card from a graveyard and do some shenanigans. This card's really cool.
Yeah,
Um, they also got this one, the Moon Shadow too. So they've got
yeah,
some
the
new tech
enters with
recently.
6, so like that's like 2 Tiom activations because it's 3 counters getting removed. Yeah.
Mm.
Like the as you said, deck's really cool. It does it sing like very, very cool. But also it's just like oops, reanimate a Stax piece and like you can't do anything. Where like in the game I played last weekend, I think they were like a turn behind. So like my Prismari got countered and like I had wind in hand. But like the next time activation, she had a like Aether Sworn counter and just reanimate or something like that. And if that gets reanimated when I'm playing Prismari, I go, "Ooh, pack up guys, I'm going home."
Yeah, playing some like playing the major ones, right? Archon of Emeria, even Interrupter, Island of Rhetoric, which is each player can't cast. Another one of those. There's also another one like this that they can't. They can only draw one card each turn, which I think the Winota deck was playing. But yeah, there's some cool stuff going on here. Definitely some cool stuff going on.
Yeah. And like for this deck, it doesn't care about casting spells. Like all of it is like active. Once it gets going, it's all activated abilities, and there's like not much you can do about it.
It's playing Cavity. It's playing Township. This guy's cool. You pay 4 mana, put
Yeah,
a
well,
counter on each creature, just do it in the end step, and then you have like all these counters on your creatures. That's cool.
yeah, they are. If they have like 12 creatures, that's 12 counters. That's 4 Time activations.
Damn,
Like,
this deck is. Man, there was an afternoon where I was like, I could put this deck together, and then I went looking for like discords to try and understand what was going on.
yeah,
I'm good.
and
I'm just
you have a brain aneurysm trying to understand the
yeah.
combo
I
lines.
got too I got dizzy. I got too dizzy. It's like practice this.
Yeah.
That deck is easy. This deck's easy. This deck is difficult. This deck is very difficult to understand. Also, Marvin. We love decks that play Marvin.
Yeah, I think it's one of those decks. Like, it just has like such good brewer's advantage because it's like it's hard to know when you're meant to waste all your interaction to try and stop it, or it's like, is that just like a value piece, or is that a win con?
There's no.
Yeah,
Every time that I see this deck being played, they always have this moth, and that's what wins them the game. I don't see the moth. Maybe just because that's an outdated tech piece, but
yeah. I don't know what card you're talking about either.
oh, okay, fair enough. That's fine. What the heck? You pay tap 1 to white, untap this creature to put a 1/1 knight into play. Oh, and then you sacrifice it to the feeder? I don't know. I'm going to stop pretending like I know what this deck does. And finally, a very unique deck that you and I accidentally stumbled upon last week while doing the mid range is a Tony Stark Iron Man CEDH that did like pretty well, made top 16 in a fairly big CEDH tournament. Iron
Yeah,
Man, Titan of Evolution is 3, a blue and a red for a legendary artifact creature, human hero with flying and haste. Whenever Iron Man attacks, create a treasure token, then you may sacrifice a non-creature artifact. If you do, search your library for an artifact with converted mana equal to that +1.
The sacrificed artifacts mana value, put it onto the battlefield, tap to then shuffle. So it kind of has like a birthing pod effect in Is It. As you see here, as we scroll through, it's got a very interesting variety of cards.
I know there are like some combos if you like go down to the artifacts. I think that's like it runs 31 artifacts, which is a ridiculous amount. I think like the way it wins the game is I think it can take infinite turns with like the Ugin's Nexus. Like when it gets put in the graveyard, you take an extra turn. I think you copy that infinitely.
How
It's the
much?
last artifact there.
Oh, thank you. I was looking real hard for this card.
Yeah. So it's like so it's like a stack space that's like if a player would begin an extra turn, that player skips a turn. But then it's like if Ugin's Nexus would be put into a graveyard from the battlefield, instead exile it. So I'm pretty sure you play it, you take the extra turn, you reanimate it, you attack with Iron Man, you sacrifice it, then you repeat and take infinite turns. I'm not sure how exactly it works, but I'm pretty sure it works that way.
No, you. I'm trying to find. The card that puts the Nexus back onto the battlefield. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because is it? It's one of these ones.
Yes.
Here. No, not these ones. You swap the treasure.
It
You
will
swap the
be
treasure out, right?
it'll be Goblin Welder. Yeah, Goblin Welder.
Yeah. So you need to have an extra treasure or something like that, or an extra artifact, right? Oh shit.
No, you literally need
You.
one extra artifact on battlefield, and I think it works with if Goblin Welder isn't summoning sickness. You go to combat, you sack an artifact, put Ugin's Nexus, you sacrifice it with Goblin Welder, you take an extra turn. The next turn, you then tap Goblin Welder, bringing it back to the battlefield. You attack with Iron Man, you sacrifice Ugin's Nexus, you take an extra turn, you untap, you Goblin Welder, Ugin's Nexus back into the battlefield, you attack with Iron Man, sacrifice Ugin's Nexus. But
Um.
yeah, it plays a lot more of like the artifact stack. So it plays Tangle Wire, which is like you have to tap 4 things in, which is like backbreaking if you play like a Mana Vault turn 1, because it's like they have to tap all their lands and all their well 4 lands and 4 artifacts. As unless you dump your entire hand, it's that land Mana Vault turn 1 is now a tapped Mana Vault on turn 2.
I
Yeah.
think you and I were talking about this earlier, and you brought up the fact that you can go, oops, Winter Orb, or Winter Moon, sorry, which I think is really
Yeah,
funny, which can like slow your
yeah,
opponents down for a
it's
turn.
like that Dampening Spirit Curse. So I'm like playing a lot of the staxing artifacts, which is like cool because you're playing artifact matters, which like is like not really something played outside of like Urza really, but you're playing this like is it random commander that like has a 2 card win condition, which is like really cool. And
Oh,
like talk about the deck. Maybe it might be a thing I rock up to the store with and play it and try and figure it out. Or I reach out to the pilot and go, please tell me how this deck works. It seems super, super interesting.
I mean, Virtue of Knowledge is like really sick because you just copy an activated ability. I wonder if you can just win off like 2 activated abilities because it has the like 2 mana instant like ability to do it, like with the Virtue of Knowledge. It
Yeah,
also plays
because it
Peter Parker's
runs Peter
camera
Parker
too.
camera and Psionic Resonator.
Yeah.
So like I'm guessing, yeah, 2 activations you win the game, but unsure of what that is.
Hopefully
But
it's
I'm
got a
sure it
primer. It
doesn't.
does have a primer, so we'll leave this deck in the description. We'll leave all the decks in the description if I remember to do it. I probably will.
Okay, I figured out another one of the combos. If you go down to so it does work with Ugin's Nexus
Hmm.
and KCI, so Clan
Oh
Ironworks.
yeah.
And then if you go to it's the middle Esoteric Duplicator.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. With that KCI and the infinite turns,
Oh yeah, this makes sense. You sack
yeah,
the
you
Ugens to the ICR to then you use the 2 that you make from this to yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
I guess
Yeah, and
yeah.
then it returns at end step, so that's why it does it. It returns it like your next end step, so it doesn't skip your next extra turn. The deck is really cool. So
It's also playing
and
this one.
it has the sewer
Surveillance
verge
cam.
Surveillance Cam, which works with Goblin Welder to make infinite mana with like a Mox. I'm pretty sure, because it tap on taps and brings the Mox back, and does that.
True. That's cool. Yeah, this deck's actually really cool. This deck is really sick. It's got a lot going on. And like no one's gonna know, like again, this is another fantastic example of Brewer's Advantage. And we'll get more into Brewer's Advantage in our how to build a CDH deck video that will be coming out after this. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I think this deck is really cool.
So yeah, do you have any kind of like final thoughts about like Stax or how Stax impacts the format or anything like that?
I think Stax is like okay. I think like we've discussed in the beginning of the video, it is just altered to kind of play more into what the format's doing at the moment, which is slowing down your opponents, reducing the amount of advantage they can get while you are able to kind of run away with the game. I think if anything, playing the more find a deck you like, add some Stax pieces in that don't impact your game plan but might slow down your opponents. That's where I'm at with the Deafening Silence, the Spider Woman, and the Ashiok. They all target my opponent. They all affect my opponents. I don't play a lot of non-creatures, so it doesn't impact me a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I don't know, if you have like a random one slot, like 1 or 2 slots that you're tossing up, and like you're having a problem dealing with Kinnan decks, just like put a Disruptor Flute in, see how it feels. Like, if there's a Sisay that's a really big problem at your local game store, put Disruptor Flute in.
Watch them scoop.
And watch them sit there and cry, and then you'll tell them about Jack's list and go, yeah, you have to run 17 things of artifact and creature removal to deal with it. Good luck, have fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can also just play Deadpool. Deadpool swaps the text box, but remains to be Deadpool, so that's something, but we won't get into that today. That's a Sisay deck tech for another day. Yeah, do you have any final thoughts?
Nah, light stacks is cool, and like the more that I'm testing like these little bits of stacks out, the more that I'm like liking them.
Awesome. Well, like I said, we will be uploading a how to brew or how we brew. Hopefully, it will be more of a guide to support the new players on how to get into the format. Definitely something to check out, as I feel like you and I are very... we have our own brewing styles. It's something that might be valuable. Definitely keep an eye on for that. Definitely go check out our other videos we upload every single week. Thank you all for watching. See you on the next one.
Yeah, have a good one. Enjoy.